Tonight, banks repossessing homes in record numbers, but are they doing it legally? Wait till you hear who's signing some of the paperwork. I'm Katie Couric. Also tonight, after 10 weeks in darkness, those Chilean miners are basking in the spotlight and their newfound celebrity. Control of Congress is up for grabs, and independent voters could be the deciding factor. We'll listen to their American voices. And Clint Eastwood, actor, director, and that legendary line. Would you do it for me?
You'd be tough to resist.
From CBS News World Headquarters in New York, this is the CBS Evening News with Katie Couric.
Good evening, everyone. The numbers are staggering. American homes are being repossessed by the hundreds of thousands. More than 800,000 so far this year. And that number's on track to reach 1.2 million by the end of the year, an all-time record. But there are growing questions about the legality of many of those foreclosures because of the way the paperwork was processed. And now the scandal has touched mortgage giants Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac because they use law firms that have been pumping out foreclosure documents. Kelly Cobiella now on the crushing fallout of all this for homeowners.
When Donnie Thomas fell 2 months behind on his mortgage in 2008, he tried to reach his lender to make a deal.
That's when default was knocked on my door. That's when I said, they said 30 days to move out or something.
The lender foreclosed, repossessed, and resold Thomas's home in 3 months. His attorneys believe it's another case in a growing stack of foreclosures pushed through by so-called robo-signers. The lawyers interviewed 150, among them out-of-work beauticians, Walmart clerks, and fast food workers, given impressive titles but with little or no experience, hired to sign paperwork as fast as they could.
They were signing false affidavits. They're signing affidavits that would say things like every allegation in the complaint is true, and they never saw the complaint. Some of them had no idea what a complaint was.
In one deposition, Wells Fargo employee Z Ma says she would sign 300 to 500 documents a day. Paperwork that stated she examined all books, records, and documents in each foreclosure and had personal knowledge of the money owed. When questioned, Ma admitted the only thing she examined was her own name and title, Vice President of Loan Documentation. Ma is a college dropout who worked for a home decor company and had 2 weeks of training at Wells Fargo. David Stern runs Florida's largest foreclosure law firm, endorsed by the federal government's Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. A former paralegal claims Stern's employees were told to forge signatures, change dates, and use the wrong Social Security numbers to finish paperwork under the threat of losing their jobs. In a sworn statement, she says all they cared about was getting the file out. There were a lot of young kids working up there who really didn't pay attention to what they were doing. Mortgages would get placed in different files. They would get thrown out.
Stern's attorney denies the claims and says the employee is disgruntled. Wells Fargo told us today that its foreclosure affidavits are accurate and it will take corrective action on any employee who does not follow procedure. Katie?
Kelly Cobiella reporting tonight from Miami. Kelly, thank you. In other news, the battle over health care reform may be heading to court. 20 states have joined forces to challenge the new law. And today, a federal judge ruled key parts of their lawsuit may, in fact, go to trial. Among the issues, can the government force everyone to buy health insurance or face penalties? Meanwhile, in Chile, one day after the world watched their amazing rescue, those 33 miners began to ease into their new lives as instant celebrities. Still wearing their sunglasses, they were visited in the hospital by President Sebastián Piñera. He promised to triple the mine safety budget and punish those responsible for the collapse that left them trapped for 70 days. Seth Doan is in Copiapó, Chile tonight.
All 33 of the miners have been brought to this hospital behind me here for observation. 3, we're told by officials, should be released tonight. Pedro Gonzalez finally got to hug his nephew, Jimmy Sanchez, today, while a family member shot these pictures exclusively for CBS News.
I'm doing fine. I'm doing well.
Jimmy Sanchez was the youngest of the trapped miners, only 19. Sanchez and the other miners got a taste of their new lives today. with Chile's president challenging them to a soccer match.
Un partido de fútbol.
Joking,
the team that wins will stay at the presidential palace, and the team that loses will return to the mine.
Sebastian Piñera, a billionaire businessman, has been Chile's president for just 7 months. He's pinned so much of his new presidency to the fate of these men, he's being called the 34th miner. The 33, as they're known here, are said to be in surprisingly good health. One was treated for pneumonia, 3 had dental surgery yesterday, and several others were planned for today.
To come out in the conditions they came out in is amazing for everyone, and amazing for Chile.
Amazing for Chile's mining minister as well, who's turned into something of a superstar. He says the stunning success brought even tough engineers to tears.
I think this is an achievement of the heart.
Just outside the mine, Camp Hope is being dismantled. Maria Segovia's family is packing up too. How's your brother doing?
Bien.
Her brother Dario was 20th to the surface. We watched you last night as you watched your brother come out of that rescue shack.
Fue un momento muy feliz, muy lindo.
When I saw him coming out of the capsule, I forgot all the suffering I endured because now he begins a new life.
It took 22 hours to extract the miners, the cost of between $10 and $20 million. Katie?
Seth, we have this question from Facebook tonight. Randy Harrison asks, will they be closing the mine now after this?
Well, the mine is 125 years old, and the indication we're getting from the government is that it may indeed be closed. There were a number of safety violations, and some believe that the mine was overworked. Incidentally, 27 of the 33 miners have sued mine owners. Katie?
Seth Doan in Copiapó, Chile tonight. Seth, thank you. Turning now to campaign 2010, there was a time Republicans thought they had a good chance to take back the Delaware Senate seat once held by Vice President Joe Biden. That was before Tea Party candidate Christine O'Donnell won the GOP nomination, becoming a national celebrity but trailing badly in the polls. Congressional correspondent Nancy Cordes reports from Delaware, where there have been 2 debates in less than a day.
A vote for my opponent will cost the average Delaware family instantly about $10,000.
Trailing in the polls by 19 points, Tea Party Republican Christine O'Donnell tried out a range of attacks.
First, I'll simply suggest that Ms. O'Donnell work harder to get her facts straight.
Both today before the Rotary Club in Wilmington and last night at the University of Delaware.
First of all, we have to keep in mind that my opponent has a history of promising not to raise taxes on the campaign trail and then breaking those promises as soon as he takes office.
How do you think you did last night?
I thought we did well. I think we exposed a lot about my opponent's corrupt record as county executive.
O'Donnell even called Democrat Chris Coons a closet Marxist.
That should send chills up the spine of every Delaware voter.
I am not now, nor have I ever been, anything but a clean-shaven capitalist.
The intense national scrutiny on this small state Senate race appears to be taking a toll on both candidates.
This is going to cause them to close their doors.
We're going to try and have a conversation here this evening rather than just a diatribe if we possibly could.
I was actually really disappointed. I didn't think either of the candidates acted very maturely.
A number of students who we talked to said that they felt that you were condescending to Ms. O'Donnell and they couldn't understand why because you're so far ahead.
Right. I don't think that's right. I think I listened and I answered and was engaging.
O'Donnell's toughest moment came when she was asked to name a recent Supreme Court decision with which she disagreed.
Oh, gosh. Give me a specific one. I'm sorry.
A question that also tripped up her mentor, Sarah Palin.
What other Supreme Court decisions do you disagree with?
Well,
O'Donnell said later that the reason she had such a hard time answering that question is that she actually agrees with so many decisions handed down by a Supreme Court that's led by a conservative Chief Justice. John Roberts, Katie.
Nancy Cordes reporting from Wilmington, Delaware. Nancy, thank you. In Afghanistan, the surge of U.S. troops has brought a surge of violence. Today, 8 coalition troops were killed in a series of attacks, mostly roadside bombs. Their nationalities have not been released. At least 42 coalition service members have died in battle this month. But while the U.S. and NATO continue to fight the Taliban, they're also promoting peace talks. CBS News has confirmed that U.S. forces have even allowed safe passage for Taliban leaders to travel to Kabul for meetings with the Afghan government. Back home, the Pentagon today temporarily suspended enforcement of the Don't Ask, Don't Tell policy. Earlier this week, a federal judge overturned the law that bars gays from serving openly in the military. Still ahead here on the CBS Evening News, Oscar-winning director Clint Eastwood looks into the hereafter. But up next, the near future, we'll hear from the independent voters who could decide who will control the new Congress. Republicans want to take back Congress. Democrats don't want to give it up, but it's independents who will decide. So we went to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and talked with independent voters who helped President Obama win that battleground state 2 years ago. Where is their independence taking them this year? We tried to find out as we listened to their American voices.
Change doesn't come from the top. It comes from the bottom.
You know, they promise you everything and give you nothing, it seems, a lot of times.
They're disappointed.
Unfortunately, a lot of people feel like Obama's going to be a one-term president.
Disillusioned.
The companies got the bailouts. Some of those people did rather well. I wasn't one of them.
And in some cases, downright disgusted.
I need someone who's going to represent us, not Democrats, Republicans, or the president, but the people who gave them the job.
Fed up or fired up, independents are now the largest segment of the electorate, representing 40% of all Americans.
I think we're probably all in the middle of the road, not on the left or the right.
Here in Pennsylvania, the governor's mansion, 1 Senate seat, and 19 House seats are up for grabs. The Republicans have an edge in almost every statewide poll, but there's a good chance that independent voters might be the real key in the Keystone State. And what better place to let those independent voices be heard than the place where the right to free speech was born, Independence Hall. How would you describe an independent?
I believe that I don't adhere to party lines. I adhere to what I think is going to do the right thing for our country.
How about you?
Yeah, I would agree. You know, when I look at the political situation now, all I really see is that the Democrats are against the Republicans are against the Democrats, and no one's really for America.
That was a sentiment expressed over and over.
Higher taxes and premiums.
Perhaps because this fall, attack ads like these have been running over and over in Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania can't afford Joe Sestak.
Of the more than 37,000 campaign ads that have aired here in the last 2 months, a whopping 80% of them went negative.
I thought about this before coming here, and I felt like I'm in a supermarket in the cereal aisle, and every box is one of the attack ads. And so I take it down and look on the back to find the ingredients and the nutrition, but there's no labels on it. There's no labels. You know, how are you supposed to find out how you can vote when there isn't even anything to tell you what they stand for?
Are you willing to take out your anger about what is or isn't happening out on the Democrats in November?
Well, I don't want to look. I'm not out there for revenge. I'm out for answers. Right. Exactly. I'm out for solutions. Exactly. Yeah. I don't want excuses. I want results.
But those have been hard to come by, as are jobs. Since the last election, the unemployment rate in Pennsylvania has jumped from 6 to 9%. In fact, Scott Barclay's job as a marketing director and its 6-figure salary will be eliminated tomorrow. Still, the 40-year-old father of 3 doesn't want to fire the Democrats just yet.
If anything, I probably would be leaning more to trying to maintain a little of the status quo and allow, you know, the work that's started to continue. If there's a big shift in power, my feeling is it's only going to spend the next 2 years undoing it all for a net sum gain of 0.
Trevor. Even those who are employed are struggling. Katie Gray Sadler is a 52-year-old single mom working 2 jobs. And that still might not be enough to afford to send her straight-A son, Trevor, to college.
He's an excellent student and speaks Japanese and Spanish, and he self-studied it to learn it. I mean, he's doing all the things he could possibly do to get in the best school in the nation. And now he's posting things like, you know, I start off with community college because I don't want my mom to struggle.
That must have been pretty heartbreaking to see that.
It was, very much so. So we've been talking a lot about the candidates for the upcoming election. When I go in there, I'm voting with Trevor in mind completely.
And there was unanimous agreement in this group. The Tea Party isn't their cup of tea.
I see it more as another voice from the fringe.
They make statements that are just absolutely terrorizing.
Making a lot of noise doesn't necessarily mean you have the right answers.
It shouldn't be the Tea Party, it should be the inflammatory party.
And just as the founding fathers learned the art of compromise more than 220 years ago, these independent voters hope their elected officials will somehow meet them in the middle.
I mean, just being here at Independence Hall and thinking of what happened here a few hundred years ago, this is where our country began. And we just need to take a look at it, go back to our roots, and pick up and go forward.
American voices being heard. If you would like to share your opinion with us, you can go to cbsnews.com and let us hear your voice. Still ahead, JFK's birthday cake will serve up a slice of history next. It's an engineering marvel, a towering new bridge right next to the Hoover Dam. In fact, it was built so drivers could bypass the dam. Time-lapse video condenses nearly 8 years of hard work. The bridge stands nearly 900 feet above the Colorado River and costs $240 million. It was dedicated today and opens next week. Now, a footnote to history.
Happy birthday, Mr. President.
Marilyn Monroe singing to President Kennedy in 1962. It turns out a piece of the cake served that night has survived these 48 years. A presidential seal made of icing. A chef gave the leftover decoration to a New York cop, and now his widow is selling it. The icing, now dried to the consistency of Play-Doh, is expected to fetch more than $5,000 at auction. It is number 6 on the American Film Institute's list of the top movie quotes of all time. How many people come up to you and ask you to say, "Go ahead, make my day"?
Quite a few.
Is it annoying?
It's not annoying, but I don't say it.
Would you do it for me?
Go ahead, make my day.
My interview with Clint Eastwood next. Clint Eastwood as Rowdy Yates spent 6 years driving cattle on Rawhide here on CBS, so we're happy to welcome him back for our final story tonight. In the nearly half-century since Rawhide, Eastwood perfected the role of the ultimate tough guy, but in recent years he has set his directorial sights on everything from a female boxer to the Battle of Iwo Jima, seen through the eyes of Japanese soldiers. Now 80, Clint Eastwood is still feeling lucky, making movies his way.
You could ask yourself a question.
He may be the most quoted.
Do I feel lucky?
Most imitated.
Make my day.
And most respected man in Hollywood.
Get off my lawn.
It seems the only person who's not impressed with Clint Eastwood is, well, Clint Eastwood.
Right turn, Clyde. I mean, it's not like I'm sitting up with Blu-ray at night going, hey, Clint.
That was damn good.
I don't dwell on those. I just kind of move on.
Give me your hands.
His new movie is about moving on.
You're that psychic.
Hereafter stars Matt Damon as a psychic whose ability to connect with the dead keeps him from connecting with the living.
It's not a gift, Billy. It's a curse.
In it, the 80-year-old icon contemplates that age-old question.
What do you think happens when we die?
Were you inspired at all to do this movie? Because at 80 and heck, at 53, you tend to think a little more about your own mortality and what happens next?
I don't know if that's the case. I think I would have done this story at 40 or 35 because I like the story. I think everybody thinks about it at some point.
Ambivalent about the afterlife, an energetic Eastwood is all about the here and now.
You won't have any trouble.
Hereafter is his 8th movie in 7 years, 5 of which he scored himself.
You know, I think if you enjoy what you're doing and you learn something new every day, then you're okay.
The movie includes a powerful recreation of the 2006 tsunami, an uncharacteristically high-tech sequence for the notoriously low-tech director. I understand that nothing bugs you more than 2 people having dinner on their Blackberries.
Well, you see it all the time. It's amazing. You know, when you start seeing, you go to a restaurant and you see 2 people sitting across from me and they're going on Blackberries, and you wonder, I wonder if they're just texting each other. You're just missing so much. You're not really absorbing the atmosphere around you or the people around you.
Not living in the moment.
You're not living in the moment.
And at the moment, musing about mortality seems easy for a man whose immortality is all but assured.
Whatever your beliefs are in life, I think you have to kind of do the best you can with the life you're given.
And that is the CBS Evening News. I'm Katie Couric. I'll see you tomorrow. Good night.